Good day internet people, it's Jess here, and today I'm going to have a little show you of my Link Joker deck. I've been meaning to record this for a while, but I thought I'd finally get around to it. Hopefully my phone won't ring and give us any interruptions. So yeah, there we go, it's the Messiah build, Harmonix Messiah, although there's one or two surprises in here as well. So what I will do is I'll start with the grade 3 and higher lineup, hint hint. And the obvious main card of the deck is for Harmonix Messiah. So, if you don't know what he does, he's got when he attacks, you can search your deck for up to one card, put it on Vanguard as locked, and shuffle your deck. And then at the end of the battle it attacks, if your soul has a grade 3 or higher card, you can counterblast one, discard a card from your hand, choose any number of any fighter's locked cards, unlock them, draw the same number of cards, and 2 rear guards in the front row get power plus 15,000 until the end of turn. So, first ride, not too bad, but not particularly great either. You get your force counter, and you get to call a unit that you won't be able to use for a turn, but you might want to call yourself a booster for the next turn or something along those lines. Yeah, so your main strategy with him is basically you attack with rear guard columns first, then you essentially swing with him, call another rearguard there is locked, and then at the end of the battle you unlock that unit, draw a card, and that unit gains power as well, so you get an extra attack or 2 attacks, however it might be, out of it. My personal strategy is to try and save soul until I get my first main turn with this guy going, and then I'll lock as many of my units as I can during that turn. So I'll try and have lock. If I can get 4 locked units, that's an ideal sort of second grade 3 turn for me, because that means you're going to be drawing 4 cards, possibly getting more skills bouncing off of that, and it just generally sets you up with a really nice hand to deal with whatever your opponent throws at you for their second ride turn, which is usually when the pain starts coming. So going first is quite the advantage with this deck as well. But yeah, so that's the boss card, and you'll see how it combos nicely with other cards. As for the supports, I run 2 Claw of Occlusion and Ghastly Nail. So this is a grade 3, and on the rearguard or Vanguard he gets plus 5k for each of your locked cards, which is pretty nice. And when he attacks, you can Soul Blast one to put a card from your hand on the rearguard as a locked card and draw a card, so you call the one that's locked, draw a card to replace it, this guy gets his power, and if you do that before you use your Harmonix Messiah, then that's another unit locked, another unit to unlock, and another card you can draw, so you can swing with that, lock a thing, so you do that, and then you do Harmonix thing, you call something locked there, for example, or there, and then you'll be unlocking, possibly even more at the end of that, and drawing for days, which is a really nice support card. For those tricky matchups, I also like to have this as a first ride, Wandering Starhawk Ruler Brand. Now this does have advantages against plans that can do extra drive checks, so Dimension Police that might be doing a re-ride, or getting another attack, anything that gets plus 1 drive or plus 3 drive if you're playing against an Oracle Think Tank Pentagon or Megas deck. Anything like a The End deck perhaps, or the Great, where you've got those extra drive checks going through. This guy's pretty nice just to make those a little bit more blunted, particularly if you're on him and you've activated his skill and they're using something like Force 1, or they're not a Force clan. Basically you know you can take a hit and it'll never take more than 1 damage, because even if they get a critical trigger, that will basically reduce the damage you'd be taking. So if it's a crit 1 attack and they pull a critical trigger, it essentially becomes a crit 0 attack, and that's basically just shut them down. So he's a really nice support card. If I think I'm going to be going into one of those particular type of games long term, that's when I try and ride into the grade 4 brand as a one-off tech in the deck. So he basically reverses all triggers for your opponent. So front triggers go to the back row, draws make them discard a card, heals make them take damage, and crits reduce their crit. So it's a nice thing to go against to sit on if you're going against someone who's going to be swinging at you with lots and lots of drive checks, because it can really put the pressure on, and those drive checks then become quite undesirable. If I think I'm against a normal kind of deck where it's not really going to be much of an issue, or if I'm against, say, Force 2 where you're still going to take damage even if they pull a crit, he's a nice thing that you can call down to the rear guard and you've got yourself a 14k swing even without a boost, so he's not too bad. You can't call him from the hand normally, but if you use something like Ghastly Nail, or even Messiah's skill, you can call him from the deck or from the hand that way as a superior call. So you don't have to worry too much about not being able to get him onto the field if that's what you want to do. Right, grade 2 lineup. I run 2 of these. Blast Monk of the Thundering Foot. She's basically there to fill the soul back up if you're struggling for soul, because soul is a bit of an intensive resource in this deck, as you will see. Basically, when she attacks a Vanguard, counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and bind it face down. If you chose a grade 2 or greater card, soul charge 1, which is pretty nice. Gets rid of a troublesome unit if there's one around, and gets you the soul charge you want. And it's a counterblast, which you don't really use that much counterblast in this deck, and the counter charging is really easy anyway. Really easy in this deck to do some counter charging. So next up, I run 3 Remarkable Burst Monk. He is a bit of a boss. Basically, you want him to be coming down before your Messiah unlocks things, because when he's unlocked, you counterblast 1, reveal the top card of your deck and put it into your hand, so it's an easy draw for a start. Then, if it's a grade 3, you can discard 2 cards from the hand and re-stand your Vanguard, which can then swing and twin drive again. You won't be able to do Messiah's second skill twice in a turn. That is a once per turn skill. However, the fact that you can essentially go attack, 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 this guy stands up, attack, 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 it's pretty busted, so you definitely can't go wrong with running this guy. Would not blame anyone who decided to run that at 4. The only thing is that the only way to really reliably get him onto the field locked is through Messiah's own skill or through Ghastly Nail. Lady Battler can potentially get him onto the field, but as you'll see, there's no guarantee of that. I run 2 Whiteout Effect. This is mainly for kind of some early pressure, or just something that actually doesn't need to use the soul, because you want to save the soul for Messiah where you can. So at the end of the battle, it attacks the Vanguard. If your opponent doesn't call a trigger unit during the battle, you may counterblast 1, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or greater rear guards and bind it face down. One of the nice things about this is even if he's not boosted, if you want to swing unboosted with this guy and you've got counterblast free, swing unboosted at their 13k Vanguard. Yes, it might not hit, but they still have to throw down a trigger, because if they don't, you can counterblast 1 and you can do his effect. It doesn't have to hit, it's just if they don't call a trigger. So it's really nice to use just as that little bit of pressure to make them either drop a card or you start plussing pretty hard. So I like that card. And the rest of the grade 1 lineup is 4 Lady Battler of the Gravity Well. So she is, when she attacks you, Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand, look at the top card of your deck, put it on rearguard as locked, and draw a card. So again, you lose a card, you draw a card, and you get a locked unit as well, which helps power up the Messiah turn. Her downside is that you will be doing top card of the deck, and quite often that will be a heal trigger or something else that you do want. Which is why it's best that you don't use her till you're onto the right grade 3 anyway, because otherwise what will happen is you'll probably swing, do the thing, and then you'll end up calling a Harmonics Messiah to the rear guard and cursing yourself. So yeah, she's a really good combo piece, but you can't necessarily guarantee what you're going to get out of the skill. On to the grade 1 lineup. 3 Calderon Wing. Really useful card. If Harmonics Messiah is on your Vanguard or Rearguard, or you have a locked card, you can Soul Blast 1 to lock this unit and counter charge 1. That gets you your counter charge, gets you a locked unit onto the field. You can have a back row of these. If you run Harmonics Messiah, just lock all of them. Counter charge 3 gets you ready for your Whiteout Effect swing up there. Do that. Then when that guy swings, then Harmonics call something there. You know, you can start getting the whole field locked really easily and start drawing for days off that. And counter charge is always nice as well. Bit of on-hit pressure next. It's treasured child of nuclear magnetic resonance. So at the end of the battle it boosted if your opponent did not call trigger units, so again it doesn't actually have to hit. But if they don't call trigger units, you can put this unit into your soul, one of your units gets plus 10k until the end of turn, which is really nice. Forces the triggers out of their hand, especially early game you can use it to kind of soul charge very quickly if they decide not to guard your early attacks if you throw her down to boost her right away. Gives you the much needed soul resource, and a plus 10 on another column is always very nice. It's nice if you're on a grade 1 turn and you go second, you go grade 1, grade 1, grade 1, throw her there, swing with that column first. If they don't use a trigger, that goes in the soul, gives you Vanguard plus 10, and then you just swing in for 18k straight away with your first Vanguard attack, and then if you get a crit trigger or something, that's pretty funny. Next up, 4 of this ideal first ride, Destiny Dealer. So when placed on the Vanguard circle, you just call the top card of your deck as locked. Just do it, which is pretty nice. Yes, again, 50-50, it'll call something you really don't want to call, but it's a free locked unit, it's a free unit on the field. Sometimes it's a grade 3 and you can start swinging with Ghastly Nail early or something, or maybe even Brant, so that's pretty fun. And then if it's on the rear guard, you can just activate it, Soul Blast 1, look at the top card of your deck and put it on rear guard as locked. So it's a free locked unit again. So if you don't have the other grade 1 that you can just lock yourself, you play this guy down, Soul Blast. You don't get the counter charge out of it, but you do essentially get a free unit, and this guy's still around to boost, so that's that. And that's the main bulk of the deck, apart from 3 Duskblade. This is actual on hit pressure. When the attack it boosted hits a Vanguard, counterblast 1, choose one of your Venice rear guards and bind it face down. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, draw a card. Nice to have him down there, just as a little kind of bit of on-hit pressure, bit of extra card draw, because this deck is all about card draw for me. With the numbers that people throw around on the multi-attacks, you want to draw as many cards as you can, so you really want to benefit out of that Harmonix Messiah. Speaking of card draw, onto trigger lineup, and 4 draw perfs and 1 regular draw trigger. Again, the regular draw trigger just gets you those extra cards in hand. Actually something you can discard for like Harmonix Messiah or Lady Battler's discard cost without particularly worrying about losing anything of great value. So she is a really useful card. And that goes up there and falls off. Crits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 1, 2, 3, 4 heals. And that's the deck. I've had quite a lot of fun with this deck. It's a very enjoyable one to play. You have to think a little bit about what order you do things and which cards you play down, what you're going to lock. It's a little bit more strategic than the average Force clan, which is something I really appreciate. You can kind of get the feel with this particular build that this is kind of like if they'd have gone with Protect for Link Joker, this is kind of more how it would have been inclined to play. But yeah, that's it. That's my Harmonix Messiah deck. I hope you enjoyed this little deck profile. Let me know if you've built this yourself and how you're getting on with it, or if you'd like to build it. And I'll see you again very soon indeed. Thanks for watching, Internet people. Bye.
Kamui here. Thanks for watching Draw the Trigger. Here's another video you might enjoy.